welcome to episode 32 of Book Writing Tips, Quick Tips for New and Seasoned Authors, and I am your host, Alba Arango. In today's episode, we are going to talk about beta readers and how to get the most effective feedback from your beta readers. So sit back, relax, maybe grab a cup of coffee, and let's talk beta readers. Alrighty then, today's episode will be in two parts as always. In the first part, I want to talk about where to find beta readers. I mean, some of you have already got that in place. You already know who's going to be your beta readers. And some of you, this is all like a totally new world to you. Like, how in the world am I going to find beta readers? Well, I'll give you some suggestions of where you can find beta readers, even if you don't know anyone personally. And the second part, which is probably the more important part, I'm going to talk about what kind of questions to ask your beta readers so that you get the most effective feedback and that you can use to make your novel better. So let's do it. Let's start with part one, where to find beta readers. So first, you can try family and friends. And if you are new to writing, you might want to have one of your, close friends that you trust to give you honest feedback. Read it first. I always have my mom read it. She's always my first beta reader, always. And that way you get a general idea. If you have any major plot holes or anything like that, they can probably fix that for you, or find that, I should say, for you. However, I think everyone kind of agrees that you need to go outside of family and friends to really get honest feedback. Because of course your family and friends, they love you. They don't want to tear your soul when they give you any kind of a negative critique, because they know that's going to hurt. And it is going to hurt, by the way, when you get any kind of critique. That's one of the things you do have to prepare for. You got to be prepared that, no matter what, you are going to get some stuff. This is your baby. I can't believe you're criticizing my baby. But yeah, your baby's not perfect. All right, your book is going to need some improvement, and beta readers is probably the best way to get overall improvement once you've completed your book. So, family and friends are great, but where else can you go if you need to find, out of the family circle beta readers? So here are some suggestions. One is you could go to Facebook groups. There are actually a lot of Facebook groups for readers, and there are actually a lot of readers out there that would love to be your beta reader, especially if this is a Facebook group that you belong to, that you participate in, like fantasy, readers or romance readers or whatever. If these are actually groups you belong to, then they are going to be so excited to actually be a beta reader for your book. So that is a great place to go to find beta readers. Now, other social media, that's there too. I've seen people offer to be beta readers on Instagram. I will tell you that one of the communities, the writing communities and reading communities that I have found as of late, this is, late 2025, to be the most effective is actually Threads. I have found both the writing community and the reading community on Threads to be very, very supportive. So that might be a good place for you to go and kind of put it out there to see if you can maybe even just type in beta readers and see what comes up. So that's definitely an option for you as well. Now, this next one is actually one I have personally never used, but I do have author friends that swear by it. So I'm going to put it out there because I've not used it, but I have heard good things about it, and that is Scribophile. And I'll put a link to it in the description. But Scribophile is actually a writing community that's kind of focus is beta readers. So I don't know much else about it. I just know people use it and love it. So maybe something for you to try out. I believe it's free, so that might be something you can look into. And if it doesn't work for you, you can just be like, all right, I'll look at something else. Another place you can go for beta readers is Goodreads. And Goodreads, if you are not active on Goodreads, if you are not a part of the Goodreads community, why not? You're a reader. That's the number one reading service that I think exists. So Goodreads is a great place to find beta readers. And you can go a little more local as well. If you belong to a writer's group, you may want to ask them, because they probably already know a little bit about your book or have even kind of heard parts of it. And if they have, even better, because then now having them read the whole book, they can get the entire picture of the book. And they can see if there's inconsistencies. They can see if like your voice has changed throughout the book. So writers groups are a great place to find beta readers. Now, if none of this works for you so far, I will say one other place you can go is writing workshops, or even better, writers conferences, places where writers gather. And there's a lot of like writing workshops that are free at your local libraries. I'm guessing at least there are at ours here in Las Vegas. And that's a good place to like kind of network with other writers, especially if you're in the same genre. And then you trade books. Once yours are totally done and you've revised and revised and revised and you're ready, then maybe you guys can exchange books and then just kind of give each other feedback. Now, these are all great places to go, but how do you get the effective feedback you want from these beta readers once you find them? And we're going to get into that after our crazy law / writing prompt. And if you're new to the show, every week I give you a law, and it is a law that was once upon a time a real law in history. And the challenge is for you to write a story based on that law. Kind of a way to flex your writing muscles. So here we go. This week's crazy law. In Key West, Florida, it is unlawful for police officers to gossip while on duty. Like, ooh, like what could have prompted that law? Well, there you go. It's up for you to make up the story about that. All right, let's get down to it. How do you get the feedback you really want from your beta readers? All right, again, I'm going to reemphasize again, be prepared. Okay, not all the feedback you're going to get is going to be positive. So kind of like, don't get defensive. They're not attacking you. Okay, this is not a personal attack against you. It is that something in your book kind of didn't sit right with them, or they kind of saw it as a place where you can be improved. And please, please, please do not think your book is perfect. None of our books are perfect. Okay, they can always be improved. So just be prepared to hear the critique. And if you decide you don't want to do it because you really like the character the way it is or whatever, then yeah, stick to your guns. But be open-minded, okay? Because your book isn't perfect. My book isn't perfect. Nobody's books are perfect. So here we go. How to get effective feedback. The best idea I can give you, and this is idea, I mean, I've seen many, many, many very prominent authors who put this forth as some way to get effective feedback. And that is, you want to give your beta readers the questions ahead of time, before they read the book, so that they have an idea of what you are looking for. So they're not just reading the book to just read the story, because you do want them to do that as well, but to have the ideas of what you're looking for. And you don't have to give it to them ahead of time. You could give it to them afterwards, but you definitely want to give them the questions, like a structure. And that is good for you, so you can ask them the questions that you want to know the answers to, but it's also really, really good for them. So they don't feel guilty about being honest, because you're asking for these specific questions. So they know you want honesty. They know what it is you are looking for. And the other thing I will say is also ask them to give you like 2 to 3 sentence answers for each question. And I know this sounds like a lot, like, oh my God, I'm asking them to do so much. But yes, the whole purpose of this is to help you. And if you explain that to them, then they'll understand that they don't just want you to, to have answers like, yeah, it was cool. Yeah, he was great. You want them to elaborate, and they get it. All right. They get it. They are going to understand. If they agree to be your beta reader, they're going to know ahead of time what you are asking, and they are going to know that that's what you want. So what kind of questions should you ask them? You definitely want to ask them a few kind of broad questions, like overreaching questions, things like, what was your overall impression? And remember, you're asking for 2 to 3 sentences. So they're not just going to say stuff like, it was cool. It was good. They're going to elaborate a little bit more, because that's what you're asking for. And then you could ask them, what did you like about the book? Like the whole book, right? You're asking broad questions. And then what did you not like about it? And you're hoping, of course, that when they tell you these things, they're things that can help you and guide you to kind of make one last revision in your book to kind of fit these things in. Now, those are broad questions, but you also want to ask more targeted questions. And this is where you really get to the meat and potatoes of what is really working and not working in your book. So things like this. did the beginning grab you? Because that's very important. If someone is just going to pick up your book and read the first, page, and that page doesn't grab them, they're not going to keep reading the book. So does the opening scene grab you? Because if it didn't, if they're like, well, it was a little too descriptive or it was a little too slow, that's what you want to know. Because if that's true, this, no one's going to want to read this book if they're not liking the beginning, if it hasn't hooked them in. So that is very, very important. Was there any part where you lost interest? Like, was there any part where you kind of skimmed through the pages because you wanted to get through it? Because you want to know that. And you know this as a reader, as I know this as a reader, that sometimes it's a great book. A great book, but there's 2 or 3 pages. You're like, oh my God, too much description. Oh, I really don't want to hear. Oh, I don't like this character. I'm kind of fast forward through this. Those are the kind of things as a writer that you want to know about. So that's why you want to ask these tough questions. Was there anything unbelievable or illogical or unrealistic? Did these characters respond in a way that you don't think they would really respond that way? And I will give you an example. I was part of a writer's group a long time ago. And in this kind of small writer's group, there was a guy and he was writing a romance book. And he was writing it flipping chapter, one chapter was through the guy's perspective, one chapter was through the girl's perspective, which is, pretty cool. But oh my gosh, when he was writing the girl's perspective, all the women in the writer's group were like, no woman's going to think that. No woman's going to say that. Are you? Because he's looking at it through the lens of a male, because he's a male. And it was hard for him to kind of shift his way of thinking into the female way of thinking, which is different than the male way of thinking. So these are things that you want to know. Are there, unbelievable things that are in the book that you're like, people would not react that way? So these are the kind of things you want to know. How about this? Was your main character likable? That's important. As a reader, do you like reading a book where the main character is not really likable? If it's a TV show, would you keep watching the show if you didn't really like the main character? Probably not. So you want to know if they're likable. And if not, then what turned him off about it? Which characters did you like and why? Don't forget to add the and why, because that way they'll give you, hey, I really liked the best friend, and she was really supportive, and I thought, this guy was really, really funny. I loved all the jokes that he cracked. Which characters did you not like and why? And this is important. All of these are important because they're helping you with your character development. They're helping you see things through a reader's perspective. Because of course, as the writer, you like all your characters, but if there's some characters that are really, really annoying, well, maybe it would be better to just kind of phase them out or not use them as much. And probably one of the most important questions, always ask this, always. Was the ending satisfying? I don't know about you, but I have read books where at the end, they leave it on a cliffhanger. And to me, that is that's not satisfying. You did not give me the satisfaction of ending this book. And I understand what the author is trying to do. They're trying to, I can't wait for the next book because it really left on a cliffhanger. But to me, that's not satisfying. So if I was your beta reader and you did that, I would be like, I was not happy. I would not read the next book because I was annoyed with the ending. So you want to ask that for sure. And just a couple last things. You might want to ask a couple of genre-specific questions. Like if you're doing romance, you could ask, was it steamy enough? What did you find were the love scenes too much, too little? Ask specific questions related to your genre. If you're doing fantasy, was the world believable? Could you envision the world? Or were there parts of it that you weren't really sure about, you were a little fuzzy about? These would be very genre-specific questions that you could come up with. That would be good to know. Again, beta readers are so important because they give you the reader's perspective, and that is something that you want, and you want to know, hey, what's working and what isn't working. So choose your beta readers, give them an outline of the questions you want, explain that you want 2 to 3 sentences for each answer, and oh my gosh, you are going to love, love, love having this kind of feedback for your book before you send your book out into the world. If you like this episode, please, please, please give it a like. Make sure you subscribe, and I drop a new episode every single Wednesday. So until next week, be safe, and I will see you then.